Okay, we are live and recording. Everybody should be able to hear me. I want to make sure that the volume is good. It is. Okay, so there were some questions this morning about the day trading. I was going through the list, and I was saying not there, not there, not there as I was going through the list. And the obvious question to somebody who doesn't know what I'm talking about is what does there mean? Okay, so let's go through the components, and this is in the main screen. This is what we're going to see, 80%, 90% of the time in the room. And let's go over the components of this and what we're actually looking for. Okay, so the price here. Well, first off, this over here where we see this what I call the volume alarm is going to be a series of zeros and ones. And what a zero means is that when we're referring to this middle chart here, which is the volume, if it's zero, that means that the volume for this bar is less than the 50 period average, which means that it's not something that I want to look for. Anytime that anything that we see that happens under no volume, to me it's like it didn't happen at all. Nothing's happening because things that move, even if they move a lot on no volume, well, they can just go right back to where they were because there's not a lot of skin in the game. Okay, so when right now we just moved bars, so that's why these are all zeros, and we're at a relatively it's been a relatively slow day as it is, and we're at a slower period. Certainly into the next hour it'll slow down over. So now we just saw that Apple popped up a one, because why? Because this bar got above the whatever the light yellow or beige line. So what this is saying is that there's a move that's higher than normal. We've seen that basically all day the volume has been higher than normal in Apple for each period. Okay, so I don't even start looking over here until this is a one. Okay, and so I don't have to look at this again because I know if a one pops up that I know that volume is bigger than normal. So let's look through the different components. Okay, we have this yellow line at the bottom and a pinkish line at the top. Those are the +2 and -2 standard deviations around the VWAP. What is the VWAP? VWAP, volume weighted average price. So that is just what it means. It is the price that traded the most often. And so when you weight the volume, that's the line that we get. That's this dark or dark purple thicker line. So we can see that this is basically plus or minus whatever that standard deviation is. And what does this do? This kind of gives you a roadmap, or kind of defining the shores of the river. It's especially once you get into the after maybe the first hour of trade, when it starts to trade outside of this +or -2 standard deviation, it tends not, it's not a rule, it tends not to stay out there very long, as you can see here in Apple. It got below the -2 SD, but what happens? It gets sucked right back in. Because not everybody, but it's a common thing for day traders to look at, that +or -2 standard deviations around the VWAP. There has to be a big reason why you're going to extend through that. So if we get a signal that is basically triggering into the -2 standard deviation or the +2 standard deviation, that's something that I'll stay away from. Why? Because I really can't expect that move to continue. Now, could it? Of course it could. But remember, we deal in the world of probabilities, not possibilities. Okay, so that's that. So we got the thicker purple line, pink, and yellow. Now you can see here we got the dotted blue line. That is your 20 period simple moving average. And then the thinner purple line here, that is the 7 period moving average. So what I'm looking for is, well, the first thing you have to reference is the VWAP. VWAP, anything below the VWAP, I'm looking for a sale. Anything above the VWAP, I'm looking for a buy. Above the VWAP, I am not looking for a sale. Below the VWAP, I'm not looking for a buy. Why? Because you want to trade with the trend. I don't want to sit here and try and pick the bottom here. Okay, so the first thing that you're looking for is you're looking for crossover of the 7-period moving average over, you're looking for a 7-period moving average passing from above to below in the case of a sale of the 20-period, which we have here, and then it kind of flattened out, but we're still below it. So we're below the VWAP, we're below the 20-period, and we're below the 7-period. This yellow line is the Hull moving average. You want that moving in the direction that you are trading. So if the Hull happened to be moving up here, you would not be looking for a sale. And it also gives you a tactical entry point. So as it pulls back to the Hull, that could be, now right now, since we've been talking for more than 5 minutes, we've moved into another bar. We're not, the volume hasn't caught up yet. But that's just because we just moved over. It's 10:05. Okay, so that's the components here. So you're looking for crossover, and not ideally, you want to be below all, you want to be below here, below the VWAP, below the 7-period, and at or near the Hull. Okay, when I was saying, and so that's actually that's the third thing I look for. First thing I'm looking for is volume. The second things I'm looking for, we have something called the polarized fractal efficiency and the DMI stochastic extreme. It doesn't really matter, the actual math and what it actually is in the written content on the campus. It's in there, but you don't need to know exactly what it does. What you need to know in your mind is that these are momentum indicators. And essentially, what you want is in the case of a bearish sign, you want this to be, this is basically plus or minus 100. It can get a little bit below and a little bit above, but just say plus or minus 100. Ideally, for a bearish sign, you want this to be negative 100. Right now, it's trading negative 65. Technically, if I think that it's a strong enough play, anything below 50 is okay, but ideally, you'd want that to be 100. The DMI, same thing, except it's a 0 to 100 metric. So in the case of a bearish signal, you would want this at or as close to 0 as possible. So right now, and then it's something to the upside, you would want this to be plus 100, and you would want this to be 100. So what you're looking for is I want ones in this column. That means that the volume is larger than normal. Then I want to look here, and I want these in the case. So let's look at Facebook, for example. Facebook is up. So here we know that the volume is up because there's a 1 here. We are above the VWAP. We had the crossover way back here of the 7 over the 20. The Hull is moving up. It's starting to flatten out, and here you can see how it's hard to stay outside of that 2 standard deviation move over the VWAP. Now this is still, if anything, I'm looking for a buy. That doesn't mean just because we're above the VWAP we buy. The PFE is 103. So I mean, it's very strong. It's above 100. The thing is that the DMI happens to be moving down. So when these don't agree, so yes, we have volume, yes, we have the crossovers, yes, we're above the VWAP, yes, the PFE is pinned up, but the DMI is ticking down. And then when we see these arrows, these are indications of reversals. So here, this is already saying, hey, folks, this is something that can turn around on you, and just like it did, it turned around. So when I'm saying not there, not there, here's where my eyes go. Here, then here, to see if these agree, and then if these agree, then I go and look at the actual chart. What are the blue dots? That is the 20-period moving average, Eloise. So let's go through some of these. Apple, it's trending down, we're below, but they're not all the way down. This is minus 65, this is still 21. So it's bearish, but not screamingly bearish. This is something I would skip. PANW. We have the PFE going up and we have the DMI going down. I don't even look up here. Okay? Netflix. This is ticking down. This is ticking down. This just got below the VWAP, but yet, look, we still haven't got that 7-period crossover yet. So this is bearish, but not something that we would do. Halliburton. This is going down, this is going up. I'm not even looking up here. That's so when I'm going through these and saying, not there, that's middle. Okay, here we have one. Here we have one where the PFE is definitely going up. It's 78. It's not 100, but it's above 50. The DMI is 100. That is bullish. Where everything is looking up, but look at what we're going into. Can I really expect to spend a whole lot of time above the plus 2 SD? I can't. So what would I do? I mean, yes, it's bullish. If I had to do something, I would buy it, but it's not strong enough for me. Okay, we just switched bars again, so a lot of these volumes went away. Take 2. Pin down, pin down. Here we are. We're already outside of the minus 2 SD. Everything else, I mean, we had the crossover sometime back here. The VWAP's here. The hull's moving down. Everything's pointing down, but we're already outside of the plus and minus 2 SD. How much can I expect that to extend? If anything, I would expect that to pull back in here. Now, it's probably, if things keep going, it's probably going to continue to trend down. But remember, just because I think something's going to go down doesn't mean that we get in. I'm looking for value plays. I'm looking also for plays that we get these indications with somewhere where I can have a lean for our stop. So, maybe, we lean on the hull or we lean on the 7 period. Those are the 2 things that we tend to lean on. If you can't hold the hull, but, it really hasn't held the hull this whole move down. It has held the 7 period, but do I really want to risk? My risk is all the way up here, and what can I really expect out of the move to the downside? Do I think that it's going to really extend way through the minus 2 SD? No, it could. It definitely could, but that doesn't mean that we do it. Okay, so let's go through a couple more of these. Here's Alcoa. Down, up. I didn't even look here. I know that this is nothing. This could be because the momentum indicators, one is indicating down, one is indicating up. What does that tell me? That means it's telling me nothing. 8, Activision. It's down, but it's starting to move up, and this is up. What is that telling me? It's telling me a whole bunch of nothing. I don't even bother looking up here. Snap, it's too low of a, we should probably take that out of our watch list, but I keep it in there just because people like to look at it. Let's look at gold. Okay, this is pinned down. This is, it's down, but it's already started to tick up. So this is just kind of something that's like, yeah, it's kind of bearish, but that doesn't mean we hop on there. What's the Russell doing? This is trending down. We're not yet even below 50. This is in the middle here at 40. It did just drop out, and look at, I mean, something's happening here. They're really hitting the Russell here. But do I want to try to just jump on and extend? Just hope for an extension below the 2 SD? No, I don't want to buy it here, but I don't want to sell it either. So that's the gist of it. What questions do you guys have on that? This is going to be, probably 80% of our signals come out of this. Maybe 15% of our signals come out of gap fills, which like Baidu today. That one worked out quite well. We do have a couple others in there, but we haven't been using them a whole heck of a lot. The Pfizer that we're in, that is an inside bar, but that's not a day trade. That's a swing trade. But yeah, that's a review of that. I think that there are I see a couple people chiming in with some questions. So I'll keep this. How long have you been using this method in this room? Boy. Well, the room, I'd say that we've been using this for about 4 months. And, quite frankly, and I give, Charlie and Dan all the, Charlie uses, he uses a very, very similar setup. He doesn't use it exactly in the same way because trading stocks is a little bit different than trading options. So I was watching Charlie and listening to Charlie, and I was like, hey, do you think this works? Because he's using it for his penny stocks. I'm like, you think this works for large caps? And he's like, yeah, it does. And I was like, okay. And so I beta tested it for a while, and it works quite well. We have, You guys all know what our win rate is. Our win rate on our day trades are sitting here at about 63%. Todd, when I showed Alcoa, PFE and DMI didn't look they aligned any time this morning. What was the thought on that trade setup? At the time, there had to have been a time. This was when we did the 28 puts. Remember, you're not seeing the whole day. I don't know exactly when we got in, but it was probably in here. It was, if I remember correctly. And when I pulled the stop, it was when this DMI ticked up. It started. I could tell that it was starting to lose steam. So this was pinned down. This was on the way. And then when this ticked up, that's when I pulled the string and said, it's time to get out. Just never got that follow through. There we. Yeah, and so with the benefit of hindsight, we got in like right here. I'm looking for this extension down to here, and it just turned around. And it was just like, oh, get out. We got out for a very small loser. That's going to happen. Our winners are going to be, relatively modest, and our losers are going to be even more modest. So that's the combination of things that we use. How often are we right? What happens when we are right, and what happens when we're wrong? The combination of those three things is what's going to define your success. Good question. Okay, I'm going through here to see if there's any other questions. Remember, I am recording this, so if you guys want to review this, I'm not seeing anybody else typing any questions, which is perfectly fine. If there's any questions on the gap fill or how we do that, we can talk about that, but that's pretty straightforward. All of this is in the written content on the campus as well. So some people like visual learning or listening to me talk. Some people like to read it over and over and over until they get it. Where are the trades? Each day the tracker is put in the room in the documents tab. It's called STO Prosper Trading Academy Tracker. It's about, I don't know, maybe 80%, 90% of the way down so for example, this is obviously today's isn't in here, but here's Friday's. That's sitting there. So that'll be the exact same thing, except we've had 3 trades today. Halliburton, Alcoa, Baidu. Halliburton was a whopping 1 cent winner. Alcoa was a whopping 1 cent loser, and Baidu was a nice one. That was a 20-cent winner. Of course, the Baidu options were $2, so we only did a 5 lot of that, or a 6 lot. I can't remember. No, 6 lot. That would be the right allocation for that. So those are always sitting in there. Open positions is in there, and the trading tool. Those are the 3 main spreadsheets that you'll want to take a look at on a daily basis. And if the most recent tracker isn't in there, it's because maybe I haven't updated it yet, and like today's isn't going to be in there until I'm relatively confident that we're not going to trade anymore, which is usually with 10 or 15 minutes to go. All right, so let's go through this one more time here. So first thing I do, I go here. I'm looking for the volume. Take 2. Let's make that. So this is bearish. Now the hull is giving. So now you have to say, okay, this is bearish. And if somebody said, Mike, I'm getting short here, I wouldn't really argue with you. The thing is I would be saying, okay, you have about 24, 25 cents. If you're expecting it to go all the way to the minus ST, where are you going to stop yourself out? Well, just a little bit above the hull. Well, now look at as we spoke, it went right to the bottom of the 2SD. This to me is and look at how it's like clockwork, especially in a market like this where we're not getting wholesale moves. The market has actually extended down a little bit since we started talking, but you can see it's bouncing just right in between the hull. This is probably something, given what the volumes are like today and the market in general, I'd want a little bit better reward to risk. Okay, so we got that one. PANW. Well, we got a whole bunch of nothing. This is telling me nothing. This is telling me nothing. So that's what I'm saying. Not there, not there, not there, not there. Not seeing it. Not seeing it. This is looking bullish. We're not quite above 50 yet. Excuse me. Let me get over here. Sorry. This is so now we have the DMI pinned up and this pinned down. What does that tell you? I'm sorry, Roseanne, I think I missed a question. Oh, which line is the V? And Cami, you are absolutely right. The thicker purple line here is the VWAP. This is the 7 period. I can make this even thicker if that helps. Instead of a 3, let's make it a 4. There, that might make it a little bit more demonstrative. Let's save that. And remember, you know, I can always share my layout with you. So I'm just going to call this STO Jan 14, 2019. All right. Here's just for anybody that wants it. I'm just going to call this Jan 14, 2019. There. And then I just put that in here. There, that's in the chat now. You guys can get in there. Okay. And if you're having trouble, the guys over on the help desk know how to help you get this done. So they can help you in that regard. Okay, so we see that as we move into the new bar, we're getting less volume. So Milan. So these are both bearish, but neither of them are pinned. I'm not doing anything. Take 2, same thing. We were looking at that before. This is pinned. This is pinned. Bearish. But look at where we are. And you know, look at how this has been reacting. Gets to the bottom of the 2SD, pulled back in. Gets to the bottom of the 2SD, gets pulled back in. And that's what I said, that this is probably going to continue to move down. The thing is that, you know, just your reward to risk. You're just, you know, this is, you know, if you really wanted to do something, I think that you have, you know, maybe 25 cents to the downside, and if you want to give yourself like 10 cents of upside, but it's just really thin. So, and today is definitely not a day, you know, I want to be pretty choosy. Okay, so this is nothing. The two momentum indicators are divergent. PayPal, okay, this is pinned up. This is on its way up. It's not up yet. The hull is, everything's moving up. But again, you know, how much are you trying to get here? This is a nickel between where we are now and the top of the plus 2SD. Could I make a penny on this thing? Probably. Do I want to make a penny? No. Okay, that's so Eloise, if you want to work on that, Scott Chilcote over on the help desk will be able to get you set up here. So Intel, looking kind of interesting. This is below 50, which is, you know, the threshold, but it's not pinned down. This is down, but it's starting to tick up. But this was, now you can see it just ticked up on us. So if you wanted to play the hull here, you certainly could. Now this is, you know, when I say I kind of categorize my signals from 1 to a 10, 1 being like the opposite of what I should have done, and 10 being, oh my God, this is the biggest layup in the world. I would probably put this at like, you know, I don't know, a 6.5. Facebook. It's looking bullish, but again, here we are. We're nearly pinned to the 2SD. I'm not taking that, you know, unless I just said, wow, this market is just absolutely hog wild and I just want to be able to get in anywhere. Well, the market's down. Why am I trying to buy something near the top of the market for the day? CRM, that's in the whole lot of nothing. It's getting there. It's looking bullish, but, you know, just looking at this kind of just looks like a mess. Look, we're above the VWAP, but the hull's moving down. We're not doing anything. Semiconductor, this is sideways. We got this ticking up, this going down. This is just telling me this is sideways. FedEx. This is going up. This is ticking down. Sideways. Nothing. Morgan. This is down. This is down. It's starting to tick up though. So this is barely, this is what, 70, 80, minus 80. This is down, but it's starting to tick up. We did get the crossover. The hull is moving down. We do have some resistance here to lay off of. So I would probably put this at like maybe a 7 instead of a 6.5. A little bit better. We have a natural place to put our stop above the, we can lean on the VWAP in the 7 period. But in general, I don't want to do a bunch of marginal trades. Okay, VMW. This is pinned down. This is pinned down. That's good. Volume is good. We're sitting here right on the hull. This would be something that we could do. Now, so you look at this, and now it's like, okay, what do the markets look like? Okay, the market is 180 bid at 250 on the 144 puts. What do you guys think about that market? 180 bid at 250. I'm not touching that. Thing's 70 cents wide. And what are you trying to do? I'm trying to take, maybe 15 cents out of it, and the bid ask is 70 cents wide. Good luck. Way too wide. Exactly, Melinda. Okay, so you guys get the idea. And, as this becomes muscle memory, and you see me, I mean, how many hundreds of these do I go through a day? You just sit there and tick, 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 and, I can tell within 2 seconds whether it's something that is worth even me spending another 2 seconds on. This does a big part of my job over here. This tells me where there's volume. Then this tells me the next part, and then it's like, okay, now if this happens and this happens, now I can go and look at the chart and see if it's really worth us doing something. Okay, so I did record this. I'm going to render this video for you guys. Good questions. Any other questions that come up, let me know, and we'll just continue on. Right now, it's slowing down, folks. Let's just be honest. I don't know why, if it's just the Mondays but the market isn't particularly active right now. All right, thanks a lot, guys.